So today we're going to be keeping going on reading the next chapter, My Kids on a Case, the case of the 10 grand kidnapping. It's been a while, but we're going to finish chapter 8 here. I'm going to be reading this to my son. Let me out of here, you boogerhead. Rodney, is that you? What are you doing here? Rodney stopped hitting the door and slowly turned around. He stared at her intently. Then his eyes widened excitedly. Kimberly, everyone is out looking for you. He shouted as he ran and hugged her tightly. Everyone? He let go of her and stepped back. Yeah, the police are going crazy. There are posters everywhere. You're on the news in the paper and on the radio. Tyler has even gotten his friends to help him look. Kim was stunned. Tyler's looking for me? She'd had a crush on Tyler for a few months and was excited that he might be looking for her. Wow, this is like all those fairy tales. The prince comes to save the princess. Of course he's looking for you. He has a crush on you, Rodney shouted and then suddenly covered his mouth. He has a crush on me too? She demanded, really excited now. Yeah, but I wasn't supposed to tell you that. Tyler said it was a secret. Don't tell him I told you, he said. Then he raised one eyebrow and questioned, What do you mean too? She blushed. I have a crush on him too. But you better not blurt that out to anyone either, she threatened. Dave and Kurt, who had been standing flattened against the rough side wall of the wooden cabin, heard the perpetrators say they were going to flush them out and ran into the bushes that were on that side of the cabin. As the two criminals started walking, Pearsall appeared in the doorway again. You stand watch out front, I'm going inside, Scar ordered as he strode inside and locked the front door. Dave and Kurt were suddenly at our sides. There's no back door, and he just locked the front door. The only windows within our reach are the basement windows. There's one window out front which you see and two more in the back which you don't. One of those windows will have to be our entry, Dave informed us in a whisper. I scowled. I hadn't wanted my family involved, and now they had my brother. All right, guys, this isn't going to be easy, but we'll have to give it a try. We have to jump these guys. George, you stay here. Ching and I will jump Pearsall and Dave and Kurt. Well, Dave and Kurt get Sparrow. We can't count on the girls because we can't see them, and they've had a really bad scare. That means Jane is an extra. And we know she has a gun, so watch out. Tackle her last. The first one to get a chance goes through the basement window, I ordered. Just then Jane and Sparrow came in front. No sign of them. Maybe they got scared and decided to scram. I'll go keep an eye out back, Jane said, heading for the back of the cabin. When she disappeared around the corner to the back, I looked at them and whispered, Showtime, boys. Ching and I sprang from the bushes and charged at Pearsall while Kurt and Dave charged at Sparrow. Sparrow saw them and laughed. Come on, you wimps. You'll all make a good paycheck overseas. Dealing in slaves pays well. Ching reached Pearsall before I did. Pearsall attempted to grab Ching as Ching ran in, but Ching surprised him without even slowing down by jumping up and giving him a karate kick to the stomach. Pearsall gasped as the wind was knocked from his lungs. Once again he tried to grab at Ching from his bent over position, so Ching karate chopped his outstretched left arm, followed by a spin around kick to the man's right thigh. The man stumbled back. I ran past this mad scramble and picked up one of the pieces of wood Pearsall had caught. Turning around, I saw Ching attempt another karate chop, but this time Pearsall grabbed his right arm and twisted it behind his back. Ching let out a yelp of pain and Pearsall laughed. Nice try, kid. Now you get to break your scrawny little arm. This ought to be fun. I ran up behind Pearsall and swung the piece of wood with all my might. It landed on the right side of Pearsall's lower back with a loud smack. Pearsall let out a grunt of pain and loosened his grip on Ching. Ching quickly sprung free from his grasp. Corey and Laverne appeared at the edge of the forest by the road and started coming towards us to help. I looked for George but didn't see him anywhere. Instead I saw the cell phone on the ground at the edge of the forest. Where is George? I thought, suddenly worried. I pointed to the cell phone and shouted to Corey and Laverne, Quick, call Mary. Turning around, I saw an arm suddenly wrap around Ching's throat as Pearsall once again overpowered Ching. Corey grabbed the cell phone, and Laverne and Corey disappeared into the forest again. Ching choked. Come on, Tyler, a little help here, please. I turned to help him again as Ching grabbed Pearsall's ear and pulled hard. Pearsall held on tight, screaming out in pain. He suddenly looked up and, loosening his grip on Ching, screamed, Get off that truck, you punk. Ching sprung from his grasp once again, but Pearsall didn't seem to care. I looked over to where he was staring. I saw George in the back of the black truck with a red gasoline container in his two hands, pouring gas into the truck bed. The container was now only a quarter full. Ching kicked the back window of the truck once and it cracked. With a second swift kick, he shattered the windows. George suddenly shouted out in pain. Ow, ow, my foot. Arg, that hurt. Pearsall started to move towards George, but Ching karate kicked him in the groin. This bent Pearsall over, and I gave him a downward swing of the wood to the back of his head, putting as much weight into it as I could. Thunk! It landed loudly and solidly, causing Pearsall to crumple to the ground like a sack of potatoes. He was out cold. Ching and I gave each other a high five. Just then Jane came out from around the side of the building with her gun. She spotted George immediately and started walking towards him. George had dumped all of the gas into the cab of the truck. When he saw Jane, he gasped and threw a match that he had just lit in his hand into the cab of the truck. He quickly jumped over the side of the truck and hid behind the car as a shot rang out. A bullet hit the car's front windshield just as the truck burst into flames. George pulled out his pocket knife and slashed both back tires of the Navy sedan. He then limped to the forest and disappeared. Jane let off another shot into the forest, but her shot missed any human target completely. Before she could take another shot, the truck exploded into flames. As the flames overheated the gas tank and shot far into the sky, out of the windows of the truck and out from underneath. The ground shook and rumbled violently with the resounding explosion. I took the opportunity to smash the front basement window with my chunk of wood. Using the wood to clear the jagged chunks of glass from the window, and without looking around, I crawled into the basement, letting myself drop to the floor. Ching ran to help Kurt and Dave in their fight. Landing on all fours, I quickly flattened myself against the wall and let my eyes adjust to the darker lighting. I saw a concrete floor with 3 doors entering into the room from the opposite side, and a staircase to the left of me. The room had very little lighting and was pretty dark, but on the wall to the right of me, I could make out a wooden chair with an old man tied to it. He had a piece of duct tape over his mouth. I ran over to help him, and he looked surprised to see me. The hair on the back of his head was matted with dried flaking blood. Reaching up to pull the tape from his mouth, I apologized. I'm sorry, there's no way that this isn't going to hurt. I ripped it off quickly, throwing the tape to the floor, and I reached into my pocket to pull out my knife. Thank you, dear child. I have been tied up here without food for a day already. I cut the ropes that tied his hands and gasped when he rubbed his wrists. They were a dark purple color. That's got to hurt. So are you going to be all right? It does hurt now that the blood is flowing back, but don't worry about it. Just cut my feet free, please. I cut the ropes around his feet and put my knife away. You miss me, Mr. Andorth, I said as he rubbed his feet to get the blood circling again. He looked up at me questioningly. I'm afraid you have the advantage on me. You know my name and I know not yours, he said, holding out one red hand to shake mine. His brown eyes looked kind, but his wrinkled face looked very tired. I felt sorry for him. I shook his cold hand. Tyler Bowen, I understood that you wouldn't be at your cabin this weekend. He shook his head. I wasn't supposed to be, but I figured to fix the front door this weekend, as it keeps falling from its hinges. I was working on the door when I took this rap on the head, he said, pointing at the blood-coated hair. How did you know my name and that I wouldn't be here this weekend? Corey Hatch told me. He chuckled. Corey, what a wonderful girl. How is she doing? Now that is a girl who would know when everyone is at their cabins, because she's a good friend to all of us who own cabins here. Heck, she visits us all whenever she stays here. Her dad is a doctor, you know, really nice man too. He talked dazedly, and I thought he might fall over. I know. Now you best sit down before you fall over, I interrupted, helping him sit back down in the chair. Which room are the others kept in? His head jerked back up, even as he started to drift off. Oh shoot, I nearly forgot. It's that room, he stated excitedly, pointing to the middle door. Thanks. I ran to the door and tried to turn the knob. Locked. Of course it's locked. I turned around and looked for Mr. Andorth. Do you have a key? He looked at me as if he was thinking about it. Yeah, I do, but it's upstairs in the kitchen drawer. Tyler, a small voice said. Kim, it's Tyler. Tyler, it's me, Rodney.
Help me?
Help me, I'm so scared. Please help me, Tyler. My little brother was shouting from inside the room, and I heard him start to cry. Before I could reply to my brother to try to help, I heard a voice snarl behind me. Hold it, kid. Thanks for watching, guys.